Hey everybody, I'm Monty, and Channel 5 is reporting that in the country of Ethiopia, it is actually the year 2015. They are 7 years behind us because they dispute the birth of Christ.
Wow. Hey, y'all. Did you know that kite flying is a professional sport in Thailand?
Wow.
It's their national pastime. It's their
It's
baseball.
a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal out there. Big deal out there. I don't know who the Michael Jordan of kite flying is, but maybe we'll have him on the show one day.
Right.
Guys, another episode of Channel 5 is here, and days like today are the exact purpose of why I redid the show and wanted it more kind of a in the moment type of show. You know, we still try to have our Monday shows, but we do pop-up shows, what we call it now, where issues are just too broad to not talk about. And we need to really start. Today, we're filming this. We're going to try to put this out as soon as we can. First of all, another unspeakable tragedy occurred in Texas. And it's just coincidence. My guest today, Todd Webb, is, on the front lines as a teacher. And from what we know now, of course, it's just breaking a few hours ago. But as of right now, 19 killed in a shooting at a Texas elementary school. And they're trying to understand, in Uvalde, Texas. I don't know if I'm getting that right, but Uvalde, Texas. And, they say it was an 18-year-old man that came in, and Uvalde is about 85 miles west of San Antonio for juxtaposition. Still trying to sort through it all, but Dr. Webb, you teach. You're at Palo Verde?
No, Mojave High School.
Mojave, I'm sorry, right.
Yeah.
You're Mojave, so you're at high school. What are things that kind of, when you see this, and especially at a school, what kind of comes to your mind as a school administrator when you hear these things?
Oh man, my heart, number one, my heart goes out to the families and the whole community in that part of Texas. In this particular situation, no different than the others, but the fact that they were children, they were school-age children involved, second, third, and fourth graders. My heart just goes out. And this is just an unspeakable crime against humanity, right? And one to have been right on, like you said, in the schools right now at Mojave High School. Man, it's hard to process. It's kind of like when you're in the moment and you're in the midst of all that goes on in the high school setting, from beginning of the day to lunch to the end of the day, you don't really realize that you're in it, right?
Yeah.
It's probably not till I retire and get out of education, like, man, I was into, it was dangerous, right? But while I'm in the midst of it, I don't feel this level of fear or a level of like, oh, this kid could have a weapon or not. Because a lot of things I do in the dean's office, I do a whole lot of proactive things, right? A whole lot of preventative things, right? To try to create a safe environment. But these type of situations, you can't predict somebody, an 18-year-old man going into an elementary school and just opening fire. And I don't want to speculate, but last I heard, it was in that 18-19 area of kids.
Yeah.
So it sounded like it was a classroom. I don't know if it was one set class or if it was a playground situation.
Well, very sketchy details right now, but the story is very weird because what I've heard initially was that the perpetrator was actually running from the police for another charge, and in trying to evade the police, ran into the school. So I'm not, it's
wow.
So, first of all, this individual was 18, so it wasn't like he went to this school because it's an elementary school. So sometimes, unfortunately, we've had situations with bullying and retaliation and shootings and all that. Right. But I'm not sure how running from the police, I don't know if there was a hostage situation that went wrong. We do not know. But we do know that they're saying that the shooter was killed at the scene. And now we're just sifting through. I mean, we don't even, at this point, it's so early, we don't have a name yet. We don't know anything really about him. There's a rumor that maybe he shot his grandmother first, and then I don't know,
Right,
but
right.
a lot of things. But I just, my heart goes out because, especially for elementary school kids, and kids ought to feel safe being at school. And I know you work very hard to come up with innovative programs to keep kids engaged and keep kids from kind of falling through the cracks, especially in our public schools, especially. And just as an educator, do you feel like when kids see this, like, like once this was kind of breaking later in the day, but the next day at school, what is kind of the feeling? Like, do kids talk about this? Are they like, man, what's
So
crazy?
hey, Monty, you'd be surprised that at school, wasn't a school shooting, but it was a mass shooting less than 10 days ago in Buffalo at that
That's right.
grocery store. It
Just
was
talk
shooting mass shooting next day at a church.
Yep.
Our kids are becoming desensitized. This is just a normal part of the news cycle. And unfortunately, it's one of those situations that kind of like our kids shut down to. Unfortunately, the kids are seeing so much and experiencing so much, right, with the constant 24-hour news cycle, that they're just becoming, just numb to the situation, and then they begin to retreat into other areas, whether it's, the gaming, or whether it's, their social media or whatever. They'll talk about it for a day. Hey, Mr. Webb, did you hear about? Yeah, it's unfortunate, but they don't want to engage in the conversations that will explore, how do we prevent this the next time. What I try to do is I try to open up that dialogue, because once you know where their head is at, like suicide was a big issue. Las Vegas, people don't realize Las Vegas leads the nation in teen suicide.
Yes.
But we're a tourist destination, and it's supposed to be, land of opportunity in terms of come here, you might hit the jackpot. Well, if that information got out to the general public, that might, whoa, why is Las Vegas leading the nation in suicides? So that information doesn't get out. But I try to engage kids and enlighten kids and inform kids so they can make the best possible decisions moving forward. And they said you're not supposed to, certain hot button topics that you're not supposed to talk about as an administrator unless the kids bring to you. But I'm like, if we talk to these things after the fact, then we have a school shooting, and where we could have did some prevention, or we could have put some things into perspective so the kids will think twice and think again. Because I'm always asking kids, now let's make a quality decision and think about the end game.
Yeah.
Right. You think about the end game. Well, man, if I bring this gun and knife to school and I get in this gang fight and somebody gets killed, well, guess what? I'm possibly going to be doing 1240. So let me rethink this whole process. So it's all about this communication and building those healthy relationships with kids that will allow them to open up. That's why I tell other teachers and administrators any day, you want these kids that do a whole lot of talking, because they'll tell you everything you need to know. It's quiet kids. It's that one kid that's that loner.
Yeah.
That you want to worry about. You want to raise some concern about, because if you hear things and you see something, say something, because those are the kids are generally the ones, or they got some radical ideological perspective that needs to be kind of like brought to the surface, right? And they said, Mr. Webb, such and such is acting weird. Did you see what he posted? Did you hear this? Then you need to begin to take steps to proactively kind of de-escalate that situation, so it doesn't turn into a situation that it turned into at the elementary school.
Yeah. And again, guys, we're kind of just fresh on this, so we don't know everything, but that you really said some things right there, because the kids that don't engage, it's just crazy to have to even start to kind of think that way, because in our day, there was fights and things like that. And I remember one time there was a knife, and oh my goodness, it might as well have been a bomb, the way they treated that. The kid brought a knife to school, but we never thought about somebody like shooting up the school or random, people had some beef or whatever, but unfortunately, that's kind of where our kids have to deal with. What we have to deal with. Like you said, we just did a show on Buffalo. People minding their business, they shopping. You know what I mean? It's hard to say you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and you just out getting cereal. You know what I mean? But
Right, right,
that's what it is, unfortunately. And I'm sure I hate that there will be, of course, a politicizing of this and
right.
left and right when really it's such a bigger issue than that, because we're just talking about, there'll be the gun control and all that, and that's a part of it. But to me, we really got to get to the heart of why is this happening? Why would a person want to do that? And that's more than just, oh, they shouldn't have had a gun. I mean, something is wrong in society, and those are deeper layers that we just have to get to. I feel like we don't, it's just easy to say on the surface, take away all the guns or do this or do that, but to me, and the problem is, Webb, it's in America. Like, I just don't see a lot of this stuff happening in other countries.
I've yet to hear in Asia, China, Japan, unless they keep it real down and they just don't release it to the media. But I don't hear about these places, circumstances in other places where it's been mass shooting. Because one thing about I'm going to pick Asia, for instance, they value two things that we don't really value. They value young people and they value senior citizens. Mm-hmm. They hold them on a whole different level of, I won't say pedestal, but a whole level of the hierarchy in society. Yeah. They reverence and they appreciate and respect their elders to a certain point, and young people as well. Whereas in this culture we live in, it's not so much. It's about me, and it's about right now, and it's about how I feel. What I have a problem is that right now the scapegoat for all these deviant behaviors is COVID, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna hear that. Oh, the fact that we were locked down for 2.5 years, our kids are still processing through. No, I disagree with that. Because there were school shootings, in 2015, in 2016, in 2018. There's been school shootings and mass annihilation. On a small scale, but if one student died, my heart breaks.
Yeah.
And one thing about working in the public school, some of the things that we're trying to implement for next year, just so we can have eyes and ears everywhere, is clear backpacks, right? Mm-hmm. We're trying to go to clear backpacks, right? We're trying to make sure kids have IDs, right? All kids must wear IDs, and kids. So we're last year was okay. I'm gonna say last day of school is tomorrow. It's interesting how this played out.
Yeah.
So that may buffer some of this a little bit, because last day of school around the nation is sometime during this week, and then you got summer break. So it will kind of cover some of this up. The pain will still be there for that community and the teachers. So we really won't get a chance to engage. I really won't get a chance to engage kids and see how they feel.
Yeah.
But the gravity of this is just the way it is, and this is the way it's gonna be. And kids get used to that mentality, or the copy. You got your copycat. You got kids out there that want to die by suicide by police. That want to, I can ramble on, man, because it really is close to my heart when it comes to the school violence.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like I said, it was coincidence that you were going to be on today, and we'd already kind of booked it, and then see what happened, and my heart sank. But I figured who better to even talk to about that. So of course, guys, we, I can't imagine what that community is going through, those parents, and my God, you don't send your kid to school to get gunned down, unfortunately, but praying very much for not just them, but for real change, not just, when someone, I heard Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, who was just about in tears in the press conference. And he said, I'm just tired of it. He's like, I'm tired of just moments of silence and just thoughts and prayers. I want real change. And he's right, because like you said, we'll just be like, oh, that was terrible, and we'll move on. We just had Buffalo last week, and now we
ain't done processing that.
Yeah, I mean, those people ain't even getting, they're not even putting their lives back together. Now we got another situation. So
right, that's that's interesting. You got two ends of the life cycle perspective, right?
Yeah.
Last week it was 9 to 10. They were senior citizens, right? Right, doing what senior citizens do on a Saturday. Probably going to get some groceries. Probably going, like you said, to get some cereal, some eggs, some milk, just some staples in life. Then you got little kids, right? Just doing what kids do, running around playing. Probably had a field day, last day of school, probably brought snacks. This is going to be a great, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get these two worlds colliding with the same outcome, that's absolutely heartbreaking. And can I get something off my, this is a pet peeve of mine. This really bothers me. Watch a couple news outlets, right? The big ones, the NBC, CBS, and Fox. And every single one of them said this after reporting this. Yeah, we send our prayers and our thoughts and wishes to the school districts and the family. I'm like, hold on a second. So now it's all right to pray now. You took prayer out of school. You took away one of the buffers that could have did some prevention, but now it's all right to pray after them. We want to pray after the fact. We don't want to plant some seeds before the fact. If any time we need to pray, it ought to be right now.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm always like, you encourage, we're gonna do the candle vigil, and my heart goes out. I'm not trying to mock or anything.
No, that's a real,
This is okay now, but it wasn't okay yesterday, because if someone would have said, hey, let's have a prayer meeting at that school yesterday, they would have the parents have been calling the school district, oh, they're bringing church and state together, and they're violating, this right and that. So anyway,
no. And you hate that, like, terrible things have to happen for people to even turn back to God. Our bishop always talks about how, which is a fact, he's not just saying it, but after 9/11, the churches was filled, wasn't nobody offended then, and wasn't nobody, my rights and listen, man, time gonna come. We already know, if you're a believer, every knee's gonna bow at some point. But you make a good point, and it's real. Like, how about we bring back, let's see, because I feel like the less prayer we've had, the more crisis and terrible things seem to be happening. And some people don't want to draw a correlation, but I'm going to draw that correlation here. I mean, that's going to stay on Channel 5, but it's just is what it is, man. And I can't even, I mean, this one really hit me for some reason. I'm like, God, I don't know if we've had this many just elementary school kids since, I think it was the Sandy Hook.
Oh my gosh.
Which broke your heart as well. So doing our best to just try to get through this. I'm sure they'll comb through all the evidence, and we'll get the full story out in the next day or two of what really went down. But another, we kind of got a serious show today. Another topic we were going to originally talk about. Another issue in America, race. And so there was a situation in Major League Baseball where a black player for the White Sox, the Chicago White Sox, named Tim Anderson, and a white player for the New York Yankees named Josh Donaldson had a run-in, if you will. Now these players, they've known of each other, and if you don't know, the thing with baseball is, a guy gets a hit and he's on the base, him and the first baseman, they'll talk, or you get on the second baseman. Baseball is very kind of casual because there's so many stoppages during the time, things like that. So at some point, Josh Donaldson, which he, acknowledged, he called Tim Anderson Jackie, and in a reference to Jackie Robinson. Now, and so when he said it a couple of days ago, Tim Anderson took offense to it. And, in baseball, some words get exchanged, and then like both teams kind of walk out on the field. That's kind of how the rules of baseball are. And it didn't really get to fisticuffs, but it kind of, got some kind of little dust up. And so afterward, the manager of the White Sox, Tony La Russa, said, well, he said a racist statement to Tim Anderson. He said Josh Donaldson said a racist statement. And then Josh Donaldson was asked about it, and he said, well, I was not, you know, he was like, I didn't mean, I wasn't trying to make it a racist thing.
Right.
And he said, you know, if y'all remember, Tim Anderson called himself the Jackie Robinson of baseball. He said a couple years ago, I want to be the Jackie Robinson of baseball. And so I'm going to say first my take. Now, I got to be real. I'm a big Yankees fan. I'm a big Yankees fan. We're having a great season. So I'm a Yankees fan. Now, I'm going to be very honest. When I first heard about this, when I first heard about it, I heard Tony La Russa he said a racist thing, and I heard he called him Jackie. I was offended. But then when I heard that, I did not hear Tim Anderson initially say a couple years ago that he wanted to be the new Jackie Robinson, but he did say it. Right. So when I heard him say that, I took it as Josh Donaldson was not necessarily trying to be racist. I think he was trying to maybe poke fun. I know that. I don't think he was saying it in a congratulatory way. He was just probably, it's like, oh yeah, you know, great hit, Jackie. You know, I think that's how I'm feeling. I can't speak, you know, them two guys heard, they know what it was. They don't really get along to begin with, but that's my take. I feel like it was kind of a derisive statement, but I was not taking that as a racist statement. I've said all that, and let me get your take on that as well, Webb.
No, I agree with you 100%. Was it disrespectful? Matter of fact, Anderson said in his initial interview after the fact, he never played the race card.
Yeah, right. No, he didn't.
He said, I think he said twice in his interview, disrespectful. It wasn't until a non-African American person to me said it, that then it begins to blow up and take on a life of its own. I don't think it was racist. I think it was maybe bad. I wouldn't say bad taste, because Donaldson and Anderson, they got history, right?
Yes.
Donaldson off the third base bag, and you know he tried to steal, and he kind of tagged him out in one of the series, and so from there they had words there, right? But it didn't turn into anything full blown. As a matter of fact, I saw them walking off the field, chatting it up.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yep. Yeah.
To me, if you was offended, you would have. I've been offended by some racist comments from coworkers says, and in that moment, I'm like, whoa, hold on, you can't go there, right?
Right.
But it wasn't until it got to the bench and he started telling other non-African American. That's what I got a problem with. I said, hold on a second, man. Like you, man, that was kind of racist, but you called yourself Jackie. That's almost like, I don't like black people. You cannot get mad when other people use the N-word, but you justify it as okay because we can use the N-word against ourselves.
Listen,
other folks can't use it. I'm like, hold on a second. It's a derogatory, it's a disrespectful word, no matter whose mouth it come out of. But I know us as African American folk think it's worse when somebody else uses it, right? But we can use it. I can call myself Jackie, but you can't call me Jackie. I don't know. And then my real problem with that whole scenario is, on what basis does Tim Anderson get the right to call himself the new Jackie Robinson?
Well, hey, okay. Yeah, that's what I was kind of, I was like, now, I sure didn't never hear him say that, because I would have been like, yo, who this dude? Now, mind you, Tim Anderson is a really good player, but
right.
I think, and so, and I let me be fair too, because he said, the quote was, he wanted to bring excitement to the game like Jackie. He was like, I'm the new Jackie Robinson, not breaking barriers, not breaking colored barriers down, but just to the fact that I want to bring excitement to the game, I guess, like Jackie Robinson, which is still, you really don't want to bring Jackie's name in a lot for what he did in the game. You could maybe say Willie Mays or somebody like that, but Jackie Robinson is very, I mean, I understand something. There is a Jackie Robinson Day in baseball where every player wears that number. Like, they're very serious about what Jackie Robinson did for the game. Speaking out, yeah, that's probably going to be a 3-hour show. We talk about the N-word and how black people view that and how we, we might not like it even from each other, but then it is a double standard. Some people feel it's earned, some people feel it's not for other people to say it. But I think for this, again, I think, and you make a good point, because Tim Anderson did not go to the race car. He just said he felt it was disrespectful. And I think Josh Donaldson was probably trying to be disrespectful.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Understand, in Major League Baseball, they probably have said to each other worse words that we definitely will never use on this show.
Right.
You know, that's just how they talk. But and probably at that point, Tim might have just been fed up with like, what? You know, like, man, listen, you know, and that was where it went.
No, he probably was just trying to rib him and rub him to get under his skin. And guess what? You brought some excitement to the game because that's all they talking about. And guess what? You just disqualified yourself from being the new Jackie. Because Jackie, he called you Jackie. He didn't call you the N-word. He called you a person that went through a whole level of racism that you'll never experience, breaking the color barrier. Well, you proved just by your reaction on the bench, they had to hold him back. I don't know if Jackie Robinson getting held back.
Right. Yeah. Now, hey,
you disqualified yourself, but you brought a different level of excitement. But to me, it raises this question. So what is the racist yardstick? I mean, is it 2 racist comments? Is it 3 racist comments and a gesture? What is it? Because I remember.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, Jimmy the Greek. Yep. Remember Jimmy the Greek back in the 80s made a comment and said African American athletes benefited from slavery, right? In this century or the 20th century because of slavery. It helped build their muscles and build genetics in them. Now, Jackie don't quite fit. Calling him Jackie don't quite fit into. Remember your boy. What's this? This basketball player played for the Knicks. Was balling out for the Knicks. Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
Years ago. Yeah. When that ESPN sports writer said, and Jeremy Lin had been averaging 30 points a game. He was just blowing up when Carmelo was out. Played against a team in the West. He was like, 2 for 13. And the man, and when the commentator said, "Oh, that's a chink in his armor."
Yeah.
Man, I mean, those comments in bad taste, and I think are very much on that yardstick of racist, right? And it's just clear cut, right? It's just, that was a racist comment. Don Imus, remember Don Imus in 07?
Now see that, Don Imus, who is no longer with us, but that what he said about the female basketball, was that Rutgers? I can't remember. Rutgers, the women's basketball team. He called them some nappy-headed, and a word I'm not gonna say here.
Right.
And that's the thing about it. See, I'll tell you this. Even sometimes, like Jimmy the Greek, I don't know the man very much, but there's things people say in ignorance that can still be racist, but it's coming from an ignorant point. Like, put like this: there was just a situation with Draymond Green recently where it was a sports writer or somebody on another team. I don't know if it was when they played, who they just played before this. I don't know if it was Dallas or it might have been Dallas, but basically they were like, and then, they're giving our guys technical fouls and things like, I think it was Memphis. It's like, they're giving our guy a technical foul, but then you got a knuckle dragger, like, Draymond Green, he can do whatever he wants. Now, knuckle dragging, that's a word, like people say that, but do you understand where that comes from? Knuckle dragging, that's considered like for apes and monkeys and dragging their knuckles, you know what I'm saying? And that's what he said, which, I don't know if, again, I don't know who, can't remember the guy's name who said it. He was just some guy worked for the team. He might have known what he was saying, or he might have just said a phrase he's heard just to try to make a point.
Right.
Which is why it's hard to, delineate where are you being just ignorant or are you being ignorant and racist?
So you're saying you can make a racist comment, but not be a racist.
Right. I think some people can literally just, say something they heard and be like, yeah, such as, I'm like, hold on now, do you know the connotation of where that? Because I remember when I heard him say that about Draymond, and it didn't even click with me at first. I was like, oh man, he just clowned him. Then I was like, oh wait, whoa, yeah, rewind that back. Right. And so what he said, that is racist. I don't know if he was knowing for sure, or was he just saying a colloquialism he knew? But that is racist is such it's hard because we don't always know. Most Black people know a white person say the N-word, they know not to say it. So if they say it to us, then you're racist because they know I didn't know what that's. Yeah, but I heard once Tony Kornheiser, who's Jewish, they were talking about Josh Rosen, who was a quarterback coming out of UCLA.
Right.
Josh Rosen is Jewish. And they were kind of knocking Josh Rosen because they said, man, but he might be too smart for his own good, blah, blah, blah. And Tony Kornheiser immediately said, see, that's racist. And I had no idea what he's talking about. He said, Jewish people know that when they say we're too smart, or, because they were trying to, the combine and stuff like that. He said,
right.
Racist colloquialism. And I had never heard that in my life. So I just thought they were saying he's just smart mouth or something like that, or a smart out guy, but he's like, no, that's a racist, which I learned that day. Now, I never said that about no Jewish person, but if I would have agreed with somebody, be like, yeah, he's too smart for his own good, I could have agreed with that. And they would have put me in that too. Like, see, y'all being racist. I never heard, that kind of stuff.
No, I've been there before, and to kind of bridge the gap between our first conversation and this conversation with school and sports, I've done that. When I was taking a class to become an administrator, they said, okay, so Webb, you got to remember, you're dealing with multicultural situations. So you got to be careful when you're meeting with Asian, right? If you use a red marker, red pen, that's a sign of disrespect. I was like, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So when kids come in and you're making your example, do not use red ink. I'm like, okay, because I didn't know that. Nor did I know that the Asian population, Asian people, if you refer to their children as whiz kids, that's an insult. I said, how can that be an insult? Whiz kid is usually used in reference to someone, excelling beyond, the curriculum and going above and beyond. They said it's a racist comment. Where I said, oh, okay.
See, I never heard that before.
No, I didn't either. So out of ignorance, I've said that before.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that I'm a racist. I believe, like, in that moment, I was ignorant. But I think, so it all goes back to, when it comes back to Josh Donaldson. So what was the intent, right? What was the context, right? What was in his heart? Was he being goofy? Was he joking? Was he just, was that just, banter, right? Knuckle dragger. I mean, I was dealing with this little boy in up in my office a couple months ago. Hispanic kid called another African-American, a black kid, a porch monkey.
Oh yeah.
And he had this look on his face, like I was just joking with him.
Right.
I said, do you know what you called him? That is almost
that's
like the N-word point, point two.
Yeah, that's.
I said, you called that boy up, and he was like, what? So I did a little more investigating. He just spent some time with his grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So he picked that up from his grandparents.
That's right.
Right, not knowing the full context that's what they used to call black folks in the South.
Calling somebody, right? See, so like he's probably thinking that's the same as me calling him a moron. No, it's not. See, so he's just like, I got my list of insults, and this is what, that's what the ignorance part. So it is racist what you said, but again, the intent. Do you understand it? And that happens so many times. Like even like black folk back in the day, we should just call every Asian person Chinese that we just saw. It's like no, not every Asian person is Chinese. Some are from Korea, some are from Japan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like some are from Indonesia. You can't just paint or even see. I didn't know this till probably 10 years ago. Orientals is very disrespectful. Like, even though, but I'm like, I remember when I first talking about, but I'm like, it's called the Orient. Like, is that not? They're like, no, don't say that. Again, just ignorance. So, just kind of to wrap it up, I honestly think, again, not knowing the man, I'm not gonna just speak for him, but I probably feel like Josh Donaldson was probably trying to be disrespectful because they probably had some beef. I'm sure Tim Anderson has probably said his few share of words too, because they've had some run-ins before, but this is one where, like you said, Tony La Russa heard it and he said, what? And Tony La Russa might not even have known that Tim Anderson even called himself Jackie Robinson at one point.
Right.
So his thing was, oh, that's racist. Then and it kind of ballooned from there. Real quick before we end, Major League Baseball suspended Josh Donaldson one game. Now, what do you feel? Do you feel that was warranted for him to get suspended a game and fined?
This is compliance. I think that's just to say we did something, right? Because it's not enough. Listen, that ain't enough of a that ain't enough of a punishment to say that I punish you, but it's not too much of a punishment to say that I over punish you.
I totally agree.
I think that
I would have rather y'all sit in a room.
Right.
Like, let's sit down, let's go to lunch, let's talk and figure out where we are. Like, to me, I would feel better if they said, you know what, Major League Baseball, we're gonna have a session with Tim, such, raise maybe some money for charity, let the fine, instead of just, that's such a boilerplate. Well, we suspended them, so y'all can't say we didn't do something. Such a hands-off approach. I didn't really like that.
No, that's like pitcher. This last year, this pitcher got suspended 20 games, right? Okay, so let's dissect it. Let's deconstruct a pitcher who pitches on a 5-day rotation.
5 days, yeah.
So how many games did he really get suspended, right? So you just trying to make it seem like you really put some punishment on him because 20 games. No, he pitched every 5 games. So it's really 4 or 5 games that he got suspended. And I think those are some of the semantics, some of the games that Major League Baseball in NFL they play the same type of games. It's just they want to appease the people, but I want to make sure I maintain the fan base. I don't want ratings to go down. And it's really I call it a shell game, and they just moving pieces around to say we did this and to say we did not do something, so that you don't have the ACLU or you don't have the Office of Civil Rights knocking on your door. He made these comments that were insensitive, and you guys didn't do anything. Oh, now they're going to say, oh yes, we did. We gave him 1 game. But what's 1 game?
And how are we learning? But anyway, I'm getting it wrong. But so guys, that's our show. I want to thank Todd E. Webb for joining, man. Really had some great comments, of course, on the school issues and and just talking about race. Like I said, I mean, these things just popping off, and this is why I like to be able to do this show this way, because we can immediately talk about it. Don't got to wait till next week. We can kind of hit it while it's fresh. But of course, check us out, Mighty Sharp Network. We got more coming for you. Got a lot of good shows coming, man. I mean, not everything's going to be as heavy as today, but sometimes we got to have these conversations. It's healthy to talk about. But we will be back. Please, guys, you know what to do. Always, always, always be blessed. Stay sharp. Appreciate you, bro.
Hey, Monty.
Yeah.
When did I get one of the Channel 5 hats to go on my wall, man?
Hey, I'm about to say, man, I know you got the hat. I got to get you one. Yes, sir. I will see you. I got you. All right? Yes.
All right.
Put it up there on the wall, man. Appreciate it.
Brothers, how you doing? Sisters, are you all right? The world's going crazy. Things just aren't right. Brothers, how you doing? Sisters, are you all right? The world's going crazy. Things just aren't right.